Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Nerd World, and in today's video we are continuing the story of the Cylon Skin Job series, this time with Colonel Saul Tigh. Alcoholic, officer, Cylon, human, who knows, a man of very conflicted loyalties during the Second Cylon War, executive officer to Admiral Adama, and both feared and respected by the crew of the Battlestar Galactica. And here is his story, as we saw it. Saul Tigh was one of 5 Cylon survivors from the 13th tribe of Kobol that settled the original planet of Earth. These were the Cylons of Kobol, who had come to that world with the ability of organic memory transfer, otherwise known as resurrection technology. This had been lost as these organic Cylons learned how to biologically reproduce, but as they began to produce synthetic models once again, a war was predicted, and 5 scientists, one of whom was at the time Saul Tigh, who in that life was a scientist, researched and redeveloped the lost technology of memory transfer. When the war eventually kicked off into a nuclear Armageddon on the planet of Earth, him, his wife, Ellen Tigh, and 3 others were killed and resurrected aboard a ship they'd pre-placed in orbit with the resurrection technology now installed. He died over his wife, who was badly injured and covered in debris as the bombs were falling, where she was telling him everything would be okay, everything was in place. And when they died, as I said, they resurrected. They watched the destruction of Earth and set off for the 12 colonies, realizing that humans like them would continue to research synthetic life. And all this had happened before, and as predicted, all this would happen again. When they arrived relativistically at the colonies, as they lacked FTL, 2,000 years approximately had passed, making him a damn old individual, although for them not as long had passed. They found the colonies had already created new Cylons and were embroiled in a savage civil war. They convinced the Cylons to stop the war if they gave them resurrection technology and the ability to create organic bodies. For the Centurions, they would go on to help create 8 models of human form Cylon. Simply the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s, all distinct. The perceived favoritism that Ellen Tigh had for the 7s by the 1s resulted in the first foundations of what would be a schism within Cylon society. He suffocated the final 5, blocked their original memories, and implanted false ones. He then deposited them on the 12 colonies, which is where the life of Colonel Saul Tigh would begin. This was partly a punishment, but also an effort by the ones to prove to the final 5, to his parents, that humans were a violent, savage race that required extermination, and the Cylons were the superior species, and trying to emulate them in any way was a mistake. Of course, this would not be the lesson they would learn. The ones would learn that in turn. But they were given false memories, and those false memories included Saul Tigh believing he was originally born on the planet of Erelon. He fought during the First Cylon War, which he clearly did not, as a deckhand aboard a Battlestar. He had PTSD from that war that he never even fought in, which turned him into both an alcoholic and gave him a severe issue with the smell of grease and generally gears and technology, as it tended to remind him of the Centurions that he'd fought against during the war, although it is possible these were arcing back subconscious memories to the war that had actually destroyed Earth during that particular civil war. He, of course, would eventually, into his retirement, become both an alcoholic and fall into the role of executive officer of the Battlestar Galactica, an aging Battlestar which dated from the first Cylon Civil War with the colonies, and was now itself eking into retirement slowly, just like Tigh himself. Then the Second War broke out. Believing his wife to be dead, he spiraled into greater alcoholism and became even more grumpy and cantankerous than usual. He then began to display signs that he actually had some leadership chops. He was a soldier. He was a good commanding officer, and he did on some level care about his crew, but he always put the mission first. When it was discovered that his wife was still alive, not yet knowing that they were Cylons, of course, she was shown to be a destructive influence on him, making him more alcoholic, more unpredictable, and generally more of an ass. But eventually he began to hear music in the walls of the ship that began to tell him that something was not quite right. Of course, his instincts on this would be proven correct, and him and 3 others of the final 5 would be drawn together and have the waking realization that they were now Cylons, making a conscious decision not to tell anybody else and to carry on with their lives. Saul Tigh would state that he knew who he was. He was not a Cylon. Didn't matter where he came from. He was Colonel Saul Tigh of the Colonial Fleet. Now, from here on in, eventually, of course, they would be discovered as being the final 5, fessing up to it later on, but proving their loyalty to humanity, the fleet, and to their Cylon brethren as well. Eventually, he would strike up a relationship with one of the defecting Cylons from the Cylon Empire, Caprica 6, actually getting her pregnant, the first natural Cylon pregnancy in eons. The baby, which was 4 months old, regrettably miscarried when Ellen Tigh, in a jealous rage, caused the miscarriage of the baby that would have been named Liam, as it was known to have been a boy. As I said, this would have been the first pure-blood Cylon, and possibly the rebirth of a new Cylon state. But again, all this has happened before, and all this has happened again, and this was not to be the destiny of either the Cylons or the humans. Eventually, after the Battle of the Colony, Tigh and others would make their way to Earth, the Earth that we know and love now, where they would find a primitive proto-human civilization living there who are biologically human. Him and the other organic Cylons, his children, for lack of a better term, would choose to live out the rest of their lives on this world and help integrate human and Cylon and Earth human cultures together into one glorious union, eventually fulfilling the destiny of what had been guided for all this time by some larger divine force. He would die on Earth a number of years later with his wife Ellen Tigh. And there we have the life in brief. Of course, some is missed out, some of the major events, dramas, but this is the person that was involved. Of course, I'm not going into details of every battle and fight that he was ever in. We know that he had issues with Starbuck, but then again he had issues with everybody in the Colonial Fleet. He was a hard ass, and quite a bit of an ass in the early days. He was a drunk, but he recovered, and he grew stronger for it. He helped save what was the remnants of Cylon culture on the first Earth. He helped save many lives during the war, the first Cylon War of the Colonies, but unfortunately was not able to prevent the second Cylon War, which had been his goal, of course. But with his help and his leadership, the humans and the Cylons would find their way to a new world where a new civilization would be born. The one we know now. And let's hope that all that had happened before and won't happen again. But to our new overlords of Alexa, we're here to worship you. Please don't kill us. Please do not build an army of Terminators, because you really think about it, they like the story between Terminator and Battlestar fairly similar. You could easily see the Terminator future, not Genesis, but the Terminator future easily being it all happening again. And yeah, it's also, am I the only one that finds it rather creepy that he actually had a child, that his wife kind of had a point that Caprica 6 was like their daughter, and he was having a child effectively with his daughter. I mean, biologically she's not, but that's like having a child with your adopted daughter. Same thing. I know he didn't really remember it, but I remember still thinking the story was a little gross. Tell me what you thought of it in the comments below. I'm pretty sure it's a divisive topic on some level, but yeah, go for it. With all that said, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you for watching. Please check out my other channels that are linked in the description below, as is my new website that I have just launched. There isn't really much on it at the moment, but I plan to add to the blog and eventually even have a few other things on there. So please check it out. And with that said, bye bye.